Hello, everybody. Sam Tom Miller back here again with another Google Docs video. I guess is what I'll call this format. And today we're going to be talking about the villainous counterparts to the Avengers. Now, I might use Thunderbolts and Dark Avengers interchangeably here. I've also come across the label of Redeemers in the comics. But we'll talk about how I'm differentiating those in this video in a minute. Before I get to that, I gotta go on a little rant here because I hear so many people saying that this phase 4 of Marvel seems like it's not going anywhere, it's not doing anything, it's not building up to anything. I don't know a nicer way to just say you're wrong. We are we are definitely leading to certain things. If you think back to phase 1, this was just world building. This wasn't leading to anything. Iron Man showed us what Earth technology was like in the MCU. Hulk showed us what kind of biology experiments were happening in the MCU. Thor showed us what we think is magic is actually just advanced space technology in the MCU. Captain America showed us the other side of the coin of that biology information from Hulk. Then we get information about government organizations, spy organizations. We team them all up. Then we start looking out into outer space, right? And then we're growing the world. We're adding new characters. We're getting artificial life, adding more characters, right? Then we start leading towards the Infinity Stones and the Infinity Saga. But that's not what they were doing in phase 1. They were just world building. Phase 4 is another phase 1. And if phases 1, 2, 3 were the Infinity Gauntlet saga, we are now in the Secret Wars saga, right? Or maybe the Multiverse saga. But I've already made my video on the new Avengers. If you haven't watched that, go check that out. I don't rant as much in that one. This video is on the Thunderbolts. So, I don't know. Am I going to keep this going? We got big themes of monsters coming in phase 4, and I am very much including mutants in that label. Not that I agree with that labeling, but that's how people are going to see them. We've got a lot of multiverse stuff going on, but I think that's actually going to lead into Secret Wars. And we got a lot of stuff going on with the afterlives and gods and pantheons, which is tied into this idea of the multiverse and different dimensions, which is tied and leading into the Secret Wars. So maybe I'll make videos on the rest of these. I kind of like doing this. My first one hasn't gotten many views yet, though, so I don't know. Maybe I'll get tired. So let's talk about the categories that I'm putting in here. With these villains that we're going to be talking about. So what we're talking about are villains that are still around in the MCU that could be a counterpart to a mainline hero on some sort of team using villains or people that have formerly been villains in the role of a hero. And the thing you have to keep in mind is that there are different motives, different reasons that different characters might sign up for something like this. So the first one is deception. People that know they're a villain, or maybe they don't know they're a villain, but they are a villain, but people think that they're the hero, and they want people to think that they're the hero. And the person that I think represents that group really well is Wilson Fisk. Now, it's unclear exactly how similar this Wilson Fisk from Hawkeye is to the one in Daredevil. And I guess I should say, if I haven't yet, I'm recording this at 11:34 p.m. on July 17th, 2022. So spoilers for everything up until then, including Thor Love and Thunder, including Ms. Marvel, and those are the most recent things that have come out as I'm recording this. So Wilson Fisk, not to say that these are necessarily the leaders of these three categories. There's just people that I think encapsulate that idea very well. So Wilson Fisk, characters focused on deception, deceiving people into thinking that they are heroes. Which, for my purposes, I'm going to call those the Dark Avengers. Now, Marvel might use all three of these names. They might not use any of them in the MCU. They've all been used in the comics, and they all have similarities and crossing storylines. They might not use any of them, though. This is just for my own purposes, organizing it here. Next, we have people who just want to have some better reception. They're not necessarily a hero. They're not necessarily a good person, but they don't want to be seen as a villain. They don't want people to treat them like a villain. So even though they don't really care about other people, they do heroic things just for the reception of it. And Valentina here is going to represent that group, which I am referring to as the Thunderbolts. And then finally, we have the characters that are in it for the redemption. Characters that acknowledge that, yes, I was a villain. Perhaps it was intentional, perhaps it was not. But I did something horrible, and I want to make up for that. Now I want to be a hero. I want to do good things. Not because of what other people think, but because I want to make amends for what I've done. I'm calling those the Redeemers. And I've got Bucky Barnes here representing them for me. So I'm going to go through all our mainline heroes, talk about the counterpoints that they have, and then at the end I will categorize everybody into one of these three groups. But I need to get a move on. So first up, counterpoint for Iron Man. We got a couple options to go here. First of all, Justin Hammer is still kicking around, and he has quite a fair amount to do with these teams in the comics, him and his daughter. But he's been in prison since 2010, I believe, is when Iron Man 2 came out. I know the timeline's kind of weird, but that's like 17 years if you include the blip. So it's very possible he's out of jail by now, and looking to kind of gain some power back, save some face with the public. But muddying the waters a little bit is the fact that we have this Armor Wars series coming up featuring War Machine, James Rhodes. And that's going to have to deal with the legacy of Tony Stark and his tech. And so it could very well be that Justin Hammer pops up in that show. That's not something that's been confirmed yet, but what has been confirmed is that, what is this guy's name? Walton Scoggins is the actor. Can't remember the character's name, but this character from Ant-Man and the Wasp is confirmed to be in that show. So I can imagine a scenario very similar to how he acts in Ant-Man and the Wasp, trying to get that tech, selling it to the highest bidder. Perhaps Justin Hammer is that bidder, and he's using this character to go do the dirty work to get Iron Man's tech. I don't know. I'm not necessarily speculating, but I'm saying these guys are both in play relating to Iron Man. And you know Justin Hammer would love to be Iron Man. Moving on, we got Bruce Banner. Now, once again, we got a couple people to go through here. First of all, we got Blonsky, the Abomination. We know he's still kicking around. He was just in Shang-Chi, and he's going to be in the new She-Hulk TV series. He seems tight with Wong, though, so I don't know if he's still got that evil streak or if he's going to be one of the Redeemers who actually wants to do good things now. I'm curious to see how that's going to go. I don't think we're going to see Samuel Stearns, the leader, again, but, he's still kicking around out there. Poor Tim Blake Nelson. He never gets to play the villain that he was hired to play. But, as previously mentioned, we do have a new She-Hulk TV series coming out next month as I record this. And looking at the cast list for that show, we have an actress who is slated to play Titania, which is just going to throw me off because the actress playing She-Hulk, her name is her name is very similar to Titania. Tatiana, that's what it is. I couldn't even remember it. But we do have Titania, a enhanced strength villainous role. Now, what are her motives going to be? Is she still going to be a villain at the end of the series? I don't know that. But again, we're looking at different motivations here. So she could almost certainly fall into one of those three. Now we get to Thor. This one's pretty easy. We've got Hercules in the mix. Now, here's the other factor that we've got to figure out is, who is recruiting all of these people, and how do they get someone like an actual god, Hercules, and this guy on the same team. So we're gonna come back to that a little bit later. We're not working the logistics right now. We're just identifying the people. And then our counterpoint to Captain America, of course, is U.S. agent. Can't remember his name. John something, right? The new fake Captain America. Not much else to say there. Black Widow. Now here we got, again, a couple options. There's lots and lots of different Black Widows, and any one of them could come back in any one of those three categories that we've talked about. But I think the more interesting option and the more likely option is that we are going to see Taskmaster again, who, we might get to explore. Was she aware of her actions? Or was she just being controlled by her father? Even if she was aware, how much of that was influenced by her father now that her father's gone? What kind of agency is she going to have over herself? What kind of decisions does she want to make? Hopefully we get to see some cool stuff from Taskmaster. Then we get to Hawkeye. And this is the weird, we're ignoring Daredevil right now. But Wilson Fisk is in the picture with Hawkeye. And again, it's unclear how similar he is to his Daredevil version. So it's unclear how much power he actually has. If you think about the Kingpin from the Daredevil Netflix series compared to the Kingpin from like the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, vastly different levels of power in terms of who they can hire to work for them. So if this guy is someone that's more on the level of the Spider-Man cartoon, I can absolutely see him recruiting some of these people. But I don't know. But he's certainly in the picture. And also in the picture, we have Echo, who I believe is getting her own miniseries in the future. So she will certainly return in some form or other. Then we went to Guardians of the Galaxy, and this one is simple to identify, harder to explain, but we've got a past version of a still pretty nefarious Gamora running around. I wouldn't say that she's evil, but certainly she's not the hero that she was in Guardians of the Galaxy. And, she's still on Earth, right? So this is a confusing thing for me. I don't, we don't have any reason to think that she went back to space, right? Because most people on Earth don't have spaceships. Maybe she stole one during the battle. But it's like the Guardians and Thor, they're out in space. They're not still on Earth looking for her. So I guess they showed them scanning for her. I don't remember if that was specifically on Earth or not. Anyway, these guys might not be involved with this whole Dark Avengers Thunderbolts storyline. But if they are, Gamora is the counterpart there. At least the obvious one. Okay, moving on to Wanda. This one's easy. We got Agatha Harkness. Now, why would a witch want to be involved with a bunch of villains? I don't know. But if the people that are doing these recruitments are part of SHIELD-like organizations or damage control or whatever, and those same types of organizations were involved with cleaning up in the aftermath of what happened in Doctor Strange, perhaps Agatha is just trying to learn some information to gain some power for herself. Although, we left her brainwashed, so maybe she's not a factor anymore. But if we need a counterpart for Scarlet Witch, we have Agatha Harkness. Vision, now this one I'm cheating on because I'm using the same one that I used in my new Avengers, which is White Vision, because they could go anywhere they want to with that character, and they can just take that consciousness and that information and that data and put it into as many different bodies, as many types of bodies as they want, so we can get all sorts of different visions moving forward. All right, my next row here, we've got Ant-Man and the Wasp. And once again, we got a couple different people we got to work through here. First up is Ghost. She seems to me like someone that would be in the Redeemers category. She did some villainous things, but she's not evil. And, wants to make up for some of those things that she's done. And then, if you didn't know, Kang the Conqueror will be featured in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, and he was, kind of the big, maybe not the big bad, but big and kind of bad in the Loki series, and I think he is going to be playing a huge part in kind of the recruitment of some of these otherworldly people that we're talking about, right? So when we're talking about getting the Guardians of the Galaxy, when we're talking about getting Hercules, when we're talking about stuff on the Eternals levels, I think he's going to be a big part of that, especially crossing through different dimensions. Moving on, we've got Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and again, this one is pretty easy, but we got multiple names to go through again. So first off, we've got Valentina again. She's basically the Nick Fury of the Dark Avengers, or whatever they're going to call that. We've seen her actively recruiting. She's recruiting U.S. Agent. She's recruiting Black Widow. We can assume she's recruiting more people off screen. So she's certainly a part of this. We've also got Zemo. He's still kicking around, right? He didn't die. Now, in the comics, Zemo was like the founder of the original Thunderbolts and had different motives than a lot of them. I don't think they're going to get into all of that, but I can see him being involved depending on how they want to take the storyline. But he's not the obvious choice here. Other than Valentina, the other obvious choice is Sharon Carter, a.k.a. the Power Broker, the worst kept secret on Disney+. Now, I don't really know anything about who the Power Broker is or what she's supposed to be, or if that's a thing from the comics or if it's something new for the shows. So, what capacity she will play in this, I have no idea. But Valentina is working on behalf of someone else. She's recruiting on behalf of someone else. We know that she worked for Kate Bishop's mother, but I believe there's probably someone else that's running things that she works for. And it would not surprise me at all if in some fashion Sharon Carter also worked for him, or at least, on occasion has done work for him or her. I don't know who it is, but I could also very easily see that being the Kingpin. Or if not, if the Kingpin's not that powerful in this universe, perhaps the Kingpin is another kind of lower level part of this whole organization, whoever's running the three of them. I don't know, I don't know any of that for sure, obviously, but that seems like it makes a lot of sense in my mind. Moving on to Doctor Strange. Now, this is a little bit weird because apparently they were supposed to show us Mordo getting beheaded in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, but they didn't. So as far as I'm concerned, that means he's still out there, still kicking. And you might think that this magic user is a little bit too high profile to be with some of these other guys, but the way I see it, he has a piece of, he was so loyal to the Ancient One, right? He is not a leader. He is a follower. And he's got this hole now with her being gone, with his respect for her dying, that he's going to need some other leader to follow to fill that hole. And so even though you might think that he's outclassing a lot of these other guys, I think it could make sense for the character to be involved just because he's a disciple and he needs someone to follow. All right, then we got Spider-Man. And this one's weird because the whole status quo has changed. I have no idea what they're going to do with him in the future. But if I got to put something on this Google Doc, we do have symbiotes in the MCU right now. And we know that Sony really wants to make something happen. Whether that'll creep its way into the MCU or not, that's not a symbiote. My computer is trying its best. Oh my gosh. My picture of Venom has been killed by Mordo somehow. So do I think we're going to get Tom Hardy version Eddie Brock Venom in the MCU? Probably not, but we have a symbiote in the MCU. It knows who Peter Parker is. And Venom is very often a character who has villainous tendencies or a villainous past, but, the whole lethal protector thing, right? It's not a straight up bad guy. So he could fit into this. I mean, I guess, what Sony's doing, the whole Sinister Six could fit on this possibly. I don't know. All right, let's move on. All right, now we're getting to newer characters who don't have as much supporting cast established, and a lot of these have projects upcoming. So we're going to have some faces, but not necessarily some names here. So, Black Panther, I originally thought that the Border Patrol guy, his friend, might be a bigger role, but apparently he's not in the sequel. But this guy is cast in the sequel. Don't know who he's playing. I don't know if he's confirmed to be the villain or if I'm just speculating, but keep an eye out for that face. And we're going to move on from there. Then we get the Captain Marvels, or Captain Marvel and Photon. We're going to get to Miss Marvel a little bit later. But for Captain Marvel and Photon, again, we have an actress who is identified as playing a villain. We just don't know who it is. I don't know much about Black Panther or Captain Marvel villains from the comics, so I'm not even going to try to speculate. But you know how Marvel movies go. The bad guy is always just the same powers as the good guy. So I'm assuming these are going to be functional counterparts, even if I don't know who they are yet. Shang-Chi, I'm cheating again. I'm doing the same one I did for the Young Avengers because we really don't know what direction his sister is going to go in. So she could be more of a heroic take on the 10 rings and using them for good. It certainly seems like they're setting her up as a potential villain in the future. And again, you might think that she's out of her class here, but maybe she is the one pulling these strings, right? If these people are all working for someone, we know she's working for someone else. It seems like she does work for other people. And I don't think they're going to make him super different from the Netflix show. So who is someone that would be in a higher power, who's interested in organized crime, but also in international espionage and also in intelligence. Seems like something involving the Ten Rings could fit that role. Am I 100% convinced? No. I'm just saying the shoe fits. Then we get to Loki, who's not really a hero, right? And he's not really in this timeline right now, but I wanted to, some of these ones I didn't include in my Young Avengers video because, for example, Loki is not an Avenger and Moon Knight is not an Avenger. So some of them I didn't include in that one, but I wanted to try to include as many as I could in this one. And so, this one's obvious, right? Our counterpoint to Loki is Loki, aka Sylvie. They have their disagreement at the end of the series. Sylvie sends Loki back to the TVA and kills He Who Remains, right? Their version of Kang. So I don't think that I don't think these two are going to be super involved with this storyline. I think they're going to get more involved with the multiverse and the afterlife storylines. But I don't think these two in particular are going to be part of this Avengers storyline because, again, Loki is not an Avenger. But if somehow, some way they're involved, they are each other's counterpart. Alright, then we get to Moon Knight. And don't let this fool you. The counterpart for Moon Knight, in terms of a more villainous, but perhaps not purely evil character, is Jake Lockley. We don't know exactly what his motives are. We don't know if he's just totally cool with killing people or if he's just really on board with Khonshu's mission. But certainly he's more of a villainous character than Mark Spector or Stephen Grant. So if Moon Knight's counterpart is himself, hopefully that means that we will get to see more of Layla, the Scarlet Scarab, trying to help him out, trying to stop him, trying to save him, trying to do whatever she needs to do. Hopefully we get to see more of that. All right, we are on the home stretch here. Eternals, again, similar to Loki. I don't think they're going to be super duper involved with this new Avengers storyline. Partly, again, because they're not Avengers. Partly because they're all split up, right? So we got Sprite, who's just chilling on Earth. We got some of them that have been abducted by the Celestials, and the Celestials seem like they're way out of this storyline. But perhaps my highlighter isn't working. Perhaps they'll have more to do on this other part of the storyline, and perhaps they will be, some of the instigators behind the Secret Wars. But I don't think we're going to get a ton of Eternals in this, but I'm trying to fill in the gaps where I can. So I've got a couple ideas. First of all, we've got the Black Knight. And I know there have been different Black Knights in the Marvel Universe, in the comics. Some of them have been more heroic. Some of them have been more villainous. So I can see something similar to Gore, where perhaps he is it Dragon Fang? Is that the name of his sword? Is this why... Okay, hold on here. I'm connecting dots in my head. Is his sword and his Pegasus the same sword and Pegasus that Valkyrie uses in the comics, right? Because they both have a Pegasus. And it's the ebony blade, right? Is it called Dragon Fang or is that something else? Because one of the many, many things I hated about Thor Love and Thunder, and you can watch my review of that if you haven't yet, but they give Valkyrie the lightning bolt when she has her own signature weapon, and they should make that weapon just as cool and just as iconic as Mjolnir and Stormbreaker and the Necrosword, and they don't. And I wonder if it's because it's the same sword as the Black Knight's sword. Am I crazy? Is that a thing? So anyway, it could very well be that, like Gore and the Necrosword, he is perhaps tainted or altered or affected in some way by the Ebony Blade, and because he has some ties to Eternals, he could be their counterpart. But again, I don't think they're going to be Avengers. Maybe Sprite will want to get involved somehow. I forget who is where at the end of that movie, and I didn't bother to look it up. So let's move on. The other, the catch-all, fill in the blank. When in doubt, it's a Skrull, right? So any kind of aliens that are not 100% accounted for, again, above the pay grade of a lot of these heroes, even something like the Ten Rings. Although Ten Rings, is that alien technology? Is there an alien race above her that might also include some Skrulls? I don't know. But, that's where I think Kang comes in as He Who Remains, like, with his multiverse knowledge, what have you. I feel like he could kind of recruit anybody if he does the pitch right. Okay, Ms. Marvel. As I was watching the show, I was kind of wondering. I was like, are we not going to get a counterpart for her? We're pretty close to the end here, and I don't think these genie ladies are going to be it. But then Kamran gets powers, and I'm like, oh, yep, okay, there it is. Cool. Check that one off. Then we get Nick Fury. Now, Nick Fury is going to be in a Secret Invasion series coming up. And again, we have a face, but no character name. This dude is playing the main villain. Now, I suspect that he's going to be a big deal. Or he's going to work for someone who's a big deal. Perhaps Kang. Perhaps he's a version of Kang, right? Maybe he's a Kang variant. That wouldn't be the craziest thing, but I think that's going to be a very critical link into putting all these pieces together. But that show's not out yet, so I can't talk about it. And then Blade, and I know this is like kind of out of order, but if Blade's the hero, who's his counterpart? We got this Halloween special coming up featuring Werewolf by Night. And I mentioned it before, monsters are going to be a big theme in this saga, the Secret Wars saga. And so, counterparts to Blade, Blade, I'm hoping they just make Blade, a monster hunter, including vampires, focusing on vampires, but other things like werewolves are going to pop in too, and potentially some mutants that have powers that mimic vampires or werewolves or zombies or ghouls or what have you. Marvel zombies. So that's who we're throwing in at the end of the tag right there. So I wanted to get this done in like 20-ish minutes. I'm way over that. But let's do a speed run and put people into these categories. So, if I can do this without messing everything up, we've got Justin Hammer. Very much deception. I'm a villain, but people think I'm a hero, or he wants people to think. I guess he went to jail, so maybe it's more reception. I'm not a hero, but I don't want to be the villain. I don't want people, saying these mean things about me. So he wants to increase his reception in the eyes of the public. I forget Wally Scoggins' character. Is it Birch? Something Birch? I don't think he's going to be on a team, so I'm going to skip him. I think he's just part of the recruitment. But I guess he wants the power, right? He wants people to think he's a Sonny Birch. Is that his name? He wants people to think he's a little legitimate businessman, right? Blah 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 blah. Now, Blonsky, I don't know, but based on what I see with Wong, I'm gonna put Blonsky here. Maybe they've gotten through. Maybe they've altered some side effects with them. Maybe the leader was involved in that. Maybe that's how Samuel Stearns will be involved. Because that's the other thing with the leader is, like, if he's got genius level intellect, he's not going to, like, work for other people, right? But, like, maybe he's, realized that villainy is not the way, and so he's helping correct his mistakes. I don't know. I don't think we're going to see the leader, so I'm not going to put his name in there. Titania, I'm going to throw her in here. I'm going to expect that she's going to be a villain throughout the series and then have some kind of reformation arc. And by the end of the series, be like, well, she's not really that bad of a guy. Then we get Hercules. And if we're going off of Thor, Love, and Thunder, all those gods of Mount Olympus are horrible. People think that they're great. People have these, great ideas of them, but they're just the worst. So we're going to throw him in there. Perhaps he will change into one of these two, because that seems to, again, I don't know a whole lot about Thunderbolts and Dark Avengers from the comics, but that seems to be kind of a recurring theme, is that villains join the team and then kind of realize, oh, hey, you know what? Being a hero is actually pretty cool. So perhaps Hercules will have a character arc moving through these different levels over time. Then we've got U.S. Agent John Walker. That's his name. So definitely not a good guy. He's done good things, but he's a bad dude. So I don't think he wants to be. He certainly wants people to think that he's a hero. He doesn't want people to think that he's a villain. But it's already kind of out there that he's not a hero, so he can't stay here. So we're putting him right there. Any given Black Widow, other than our main two, could go in either one of these, so I'm going to skip that one. But Taskmaster, I'm going to put here, mostly just because I want her to be there. I want her to be reformed. Probably more in this category, though. I'm going to do it. Even though I don't want her there. That's where I'm going to guess that she's going to go. Okay, Kingpin is definitely in the deception category. He loves to appear above board, even though he's not. Echo, I'm going to put here. Again, she doesn't seem straight up evil. She just has some revenge issues, some vengeance things to deal with. Gamora is an interesting one, because she's already gone through this arc, so she's probably just going to do it again, right? Then we get Agatha Harkness. Where's she going to go? Does she play nice again? If she gets her sanity back, no one really knows that she's evil other than Scarlet Witch, right? So she's deceiving people. Again, Vision could go in any one of these depending on how they want to write that. So I'm not going to write any of that down. Ghost, we've got in the redemption arc. Took her too long, but And Kang, I think we're going to see multiple Kangs. I think Doctor Doom is going to get involved also. So I'm not going to throw Kang in any one of these. He's going to be all of these. Is there an N in Valentina? 2 N's in Valentina? I don't know. I'm leaving it there. Her. She fits this category. She's going to be the main recruiter for those guys, I think. Zemo, I don't think he's going to get involved, so I'm not going to put him in a category. Sharon Carter is up here, though. People still think she's, she just got back in the CIA, right? So she's definitely going to be deceiving people. Baron Mordo, interesting. He. People don't think he's a villain, people don't think he's a villain. He doesn't think he's a villain. He's certainly not a hero. I don't know where Mordo goes. Where do you think Mordo goes? I don't know. Then we got Venom, who, if it carries on any personalities from the Tom Hardy version, is going to go there. Going to skip the Black Panther. We Captain Marvel characters because I don't know anything about them. I'm going to skip Shang Li's sister because there's a couple different ways that she could go, and I don't know how to spell her name. Going to skip Loki because I don't think he's going to be involved. And John Lockley, I don't know. I don't know if he's a villain or not. He certainly doesn't seem like he wants to be a hero. Perhaps the multiple personalities are going to come out, and by the end of it, Mark Spector and Stephen Grant are going to recognize that Jake Lockley was a villain, and so they are going to continue on being a hero. So we'll throw them in there. Moon Knight. I guess we don't need to put because in this way of thinking, the Scarlet Scarab is the hero, not the villain. All right, moving on. The Black Knight. I feel like it's going to be a gore story. He's going to get corrupted by that sword and then try to make right the things that he has done wrong. Cameron seems like that's going to be the case too. He definitely isn't a villain. So I guess, but like people saw him doing things, but the crowd was still against damage control. So maybe it's just here where he's like, I'm not really a hero. I'm not, he was focused on getting back to the dimension, right? He wasn't focused on helping people, but he definitely doesn't want to be a villain. He just kind of had a one-track mind there. So we'll throw him there for now. Gonna skip the guy from Secret Wars. And then we're going to put Werewolf by Night here because I'm certain that werewolf is going to do some terrible things that then his human counterpart is going to want to make up for. So, again, highly doubtful that the MCU is going to use these labels in this way, but based on how I'm organizing them, if this goes the simplest that it can go, then this is going to start as one big conglomeration of some big bad or multiple middle bads recruiting people that are then going to kind of sort out into these teams. So my characters on the Dark Avengers are going to be Sonny Birch, probably as kind of a lieutenant enforcer for the Kingpin, who's going to probably run this group, or at least be in charge on paper. Hercules, seems odd that Hercules and Agatha Harkness, for that matter, would be working for him. But if he's got the power, if he's got the connections, hey, I know how to get you in touch with Thor. Hey, I know how to get you that information about the Darkhold that you want so badly. It feels like he can leverage that information, which he's going to get in large part thanks to Sharon Carter. We need more actual, superheroes, though. This is supposed to be the Dark Avengers. Hercules and Agatha Harkness. I guess Sharon Carter could be a version of a Black Widow. And again, we could have an actual Black Widow on here. We could have a magic user on here. So I guess, well, other than not a witchcraft, but a sorcery, like a Doctor Strange kind of sorcery. So it needs filled out for sure. But that's what we're starting with there. The Thunderbolts, which I think will be more of the focus, or closer to the focus that the MCU does. This makes a lot more sense. And we've got Valentina running the recruitment for these guys. Giving her this pitch of, hey, look, no one wants to be the bad guy, right? But you don't want the red tape of being a goody two-shoes either, right? So join me. You get to do some really cool stuff, and the world will think that you're great for doing it, right? This, I think, is going to be the focus. Valentina recruiting these guys. Justin Hammer wants to save the bit of face. Titania is going to probably have some regrets that she wants to take care of. U.S. agent, we know, is already working for Valentina. As are probably at least one more Black Widow, other than Yelena. If we know she's got ties to the Black Widows, so that makes an easy connection to the Taskmaster. Now, Echo, she's not going to work for Kingpin, right? So Valentina could kind of scoop her up. Cameron, again, he's got these run-ins with the Department of Damage Control. She seems like she could kind of sweep in and be like, hey, I can make them go away. I can make you leave them alone. So he seems like he would hesitantly go with her. Now, Venom's the weird one here. This is going to depend on who the host is. Maybe it'll be Flash? But again, similar to what I expect to happen with Titania, is that whoever the host is going to make some mistakes and then be looking for a way to solve them, and then in comes Valentina and be like, hey, I can put your nasty friend to some good use here. So those are my Thunderbolts. And then we get to my Redeemers of people truly wanting to make right what they've done wrong. We've got Blonsky the Abomination. He's going to be a big heavy hitter. We've got Gamora. You know, she saw some stuff that she didn't understand in Endgame. And so hopefully she's going on this path again and not back to the role of a villain. We've got Ghost, who, as far as I can remember at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, seemed to want to do some good. We've got Moon Knight struggling to contain himself. The Black Knight, which again, I think like Titania and Venom, are going to make some mistakes, but I think he's going to actually truly want to not just cover up his mistakes, but actually go out and be a hero after he's learned his whole family history and everything like that. And Werewolf by Night, very similar, is going to make some mistakes and then going to want to, give werewolves a better name. So those are my Redeemers. So very quickly here before I hit the 50-minute mark, I call it my prediction. It seems like the obvious thing, though, is that the mainline Avengers are going to go away. They're going to be taken into some other dimension or multiverse or something, either as the Secret Wars itself or as something leading up to the Secret Wars. And in their absence, we are going to have these opportunists. Is that the word I'm thinking of? We're going to have these people seizing that opportunity, seizing that power vacuum and saying, oh, hey, I can use this to further my goals, to further what I want. And so we're going to get Thunderbolts. There's going to be some disagreement on what is our actual goal here. What are we actually trying to get done here? And they're going to separate into these different groups. I guess Bucky's not even on this list, but he's like the poster boy for redemption, right? So maybe, after they leave, maybe he'll have been paying attention to this whole Thunderbolts thing and then step in to lead these people down the path of righteousness. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's how it's going to fall out. And then as these people that are still clearly villains gain power, if the Redeemers can't hold them off, or maybe, before they fully split up and there's power struggles, right? Then we're going to have the emergence of the new Avengers stepping up to tackle this new threat that's in place because the Avengers are gone. And so perhaps the Redeemers will be associated with, the new Avengers, or be on the same team, or when the Avengers come back. I don't know, but that's where we're going. I'm like, I don't want to say 100% sure, but that's, unless they're really misdirecting us, that's where we're going. This one was really long. I apologize for that. Hopefully you enjoyed it, though. I know other people are making content about this right now. I know I'm not the only one, but for me, I'm a very visual person. And so, the people that are doing podcasts on it, I can't retain stuff that I listen to. And even the people that are, this is very simple. The people doing fancy edits and, all this stuff, sometimes, even though this is not flashy, sometimes for me at least, simplicity is better. So if you are like that, I hope this very simple way of looking at this kind of helps you get on the same page as me and in the right mindset moving forward. But I like doing these, even though not many people watch them. So we got 2 down. Maybe I'll make more of these. If you want me to, let me know in the comments, right? I don't get any comments on my videos. So one person comments, hey, make a video about all the different afterlives we've seen. I'll do it. I'll do it even if no one comments, probably. But I'll definitely do it if you do. So I'm going to shut up. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.